I guess let me just record. So um, we have conventions, just like we have grammar conventions. We have a lot of subject-verb agreements in English and stuff, and in tree and every language. So in Python, to the convention regarding variable naming is that one, a variable name can only contain alphabets. Either the lowercase or uppercase, a number or an underscore. So apart from these three things, variable name can never contain any other thing. For example, the at sign, the question mark, and all those ones, we cannot use them for good, or we cannot use them as variable names. That is one thing. The second thing is a variable name cannot begin with a number. Yes, this is very common in mathematics. You will see 2x is equal to 5. My brother, my sister, it doesn't work in Python. Instead, we can say x2, it's not 2x. And then the variable name must be short and represent its content. So if you say name, you should store name. If you say first name, don't go and save age in a variable called first name. It doesn't make sense, right? Something like that. And then we came to data types. So for data types, we're actually asking of, we have different kinds of things we store or we process in Python. We have numbers, and then mind you, data is everything. That's the simplest definition. That's primary definition. Data is an unprocessed something something. Well, everything is data. So the numbers, the words, and all those ones, sentences, and all those stuff are, you know, data types. Data, they are data. So we have types of data. So we have numbers, we have, you can see here we have numeric. Numeric means numbers, and they can be, we have whole numbers and integers. Hey, Charlie, mathematics students. We have um, whole numbers, that is integers or decimals, floats. So these two. So we have either whole numbers or integers. Hey Charlie, we have whole numbers or decimals. I think Jonathan is doing me juju. I still there. So let's see. And then in Python, whole numbers are called numeric. Yeah, numbers are called numeric. So whole numbers are actually integers in short form int, and then decimals are called floats. And you can see a lot of them. So to know the type of the data type for a particular data, you can wrap it with a type function, as you can see here. So type, if I do type 3.1 point, you know, 3.2 point, oh, 3.232, then I get a float. If I delete this and actually make it 3, I get int because 3 is a whole number which is integer. The same way, if I wrap it with type, my name is Nita, it's a sentence, that is a string. So anything which is other than a number, that is words, it can be just a letter, an alphabet, it can be an underscore, it can be anything, a character, full stop, all those things. We call them strings. Strings. And then the short form in Python is str. So if you see str from now going, it means strings, anything other than number. That can be a sentence, a word, a character, an alphabet or something like that. Now we have two exceptions in this thing I just said in the strings. That is true or false. Mind you, that true or false we're talking of starts with, capital T, and then the false two starts with capital F. Now you can see they are in green. And what these are called is in Python, these are called boolean or bools. They are bools. So a bool in Python, bool, it simply means that true or false. That is binary. It comes from the word binary. So in Python, true means something like yes, that is one, and then false means zero. So it's eight. Very soon you will see the importance of that. So if you can see, and mind you, it is case sensitive. If you start with small letter t, for example, true, you can see it is black. If you make it all caps, it is black. That is not the same as, so all caps true is not the same as the true with a capital T. Like when I do this, sorry, you can see it is blue. It's green rather. So that is something. So you can see if I take the this thing off, you see it's a blue. But if I wrap it with a coat, if I wrap it with a coat and I run, I get str. That's a string because I told you anything we put in quotes is actually a string. Now we go straight into the other type of data we have. Now we've looked at numbers, we've looked at strings, we've looked at boolean, and you can see they are just for numbers we have one number like 1.2, 3, 5. For strings we have actually um, just a sentence. That's one. They are like singular stuff. Now, what if we want to collect or store, let's say we want a collection of more than one thing, you know, so that comes or uh, that brings in the concept of collections. So collections, just like the name says, you can see sometimes you walk around and you see a boutique called maybe Ike's collections or whatever collection. So it means there's a lot of things there. You can have you can have a lot of items there like shirts if it's a boutique, shirts, shoes, a lot of things there. Yeah, so the same thing. Now we have a lot of types of collections, but the four most popular and useful types of lists are types of collections are lists. Just like when you're going to marry a lady, the family will give you a list, a very long list indeed. And if you don't take care, you can run away. Something like that. That's why you need to learn data science and you get money, not like me, so that you can marry your dream, a girl you've been crashing on. Otherwise, you crash and die. Somebody will come and take it. And you'll be seen as someone wants to join. Sorry, I need to admit someone right now. So, Umar Dawood, if you can hear me, you're welcome. You are almost late. I think you are true, but he is an expert, so he doesn't have a problem. So now, back to what I was saying. I'm saying that we have collections. Collections is actually another type of data we have in Python. So far we've talked about numbers, that is numeric. We've talked about strings, that is anything other than that's the words, the characters and stuff. And then we've talked about boolean or bool, that is true or false. And now we're looking at collection. Collections are just a collection of just like the name says, it is self-explanatory. A collection of data types. It can be a collection of numbers, collection of strings, a collection of boolean or bools, or a mixture of them. So this I was saying that we have a lot of different types of data or collections per se in Python, but the four most popular and useful ones are lists, tuples, sets, and dictionaries or dictionary, and we're going to look into that. So first things first, a list. What is a list? And I was giving an example. A list is just like you know a list in real life. Everything in programming is just like everything in real life. So list is just list. A list of items, a list of food stuff, a list of names of students, a list of this. So it's a collection. Now, how do we create that list? So a collection of items, and you can see that for a list, there are always priorities. So you can see there is something called scale of preference. So if I give you a list, you tell me, Rita, have 5,000 and I want to surprise you. So give me a list of 10 things you want me to buy for you. When you give me the paper and pen, the first thing I'll write will have more importance to me than the second thing. And it follows in that order. So there's kind of order. So if you tell me, no, choose one and I buy for you, I won't go and choose the last thing. You get it? I'll probably choose the top one. And if there is other resources, I look at the second one, something like a scale of preference, something like that. So that is something which is also in here. So lists have scale of preference, kind of they have order. So the first we have positions, we have first, second, third as in positions. Now to create a list in Python, it's just very simple. You use the open and close square brackets or use the square brackets and then you provide the elements. So for example, a list of numbers would be like or maybe, okay, let me just list of numbers. So I'm going to list 1 to 5. So 1 and then a comma, 2, comma 3, comma 4, comma 5, something like that. So each element is separated from the other using, a comma. So one, what we tell in Python is that Now we want to create a list. That is the square brackets. Now these are the elements. One comma meaning one is one element, and then two is another element, three is another element, and for just like sets we have in mathematics, something like that. And then we can so this is actually numbers. So if you run, you can see them, and this is how we create. This is a list of numbers, right? A list of And please, if you don't get anything, write it down when I pause. I'll pause for you to ask your questions, then ask so that I don't forget. List of numbers. Now, we can also have a list of strings, that is words. For example, we can have a list of these. So we can have Monday, and we can have Tuesday, and we can have probably the best day in the world, you know, Wednesday. Who doesn't agree with that? So if I run, you can see it. Now you can see something. I use double quotes for the first two, and I'm using single quotes for the last one. It doesn't matter in Python. Anything string, you can put it in either double quotes or single quotes, so something like that. So this is also a list of strings. That is these. Now we can have a list of more than a list which has a mixture of more than one data type. That is a mixture of numbers and and then boolean and strings together. So let's look at one. For example, we can have. I'm just trying to one maybe. So let's do Monday, and I have two. I have probably true. Let me just so true something like this. And I run. I don't get any error. So simple. So this is very simple. This is how we create lists in Python. And for you to know that this is indeed list, let me just assign this to a variable called okay. Let me call this one days because it's actually days. And let me call this numbers. And let me call this mix. And I run. So for you to know that indeed this is a list, we can wrap it with the function, the type function. So the type function tells us the data type of the particular variable. So if I do numbers, type numbers, I get a list telling me that numbers is actually it's a variable which is saving or storing a list of items, and in our case, it is a list of numbers. Now let me do days. Days too is a list that is a collection of what or a list of days. And then let me look at the mix. The same thing is also a list. So now if let me just try, let me print for us to see. So if I print the mix, you can see we have a lot. We have one Monday, two, and then true. That's it. So that's also how to look at lists. Now let's go to how to access elements in a list. Now I told you a list is actually a collection of items. You know, we have a collection of items and they have a particular order. So this is order one, this is two, this is three, this is for like in position. But mind you, even before that, let me just bring in this. So to check, let me create another one. So how do you know that maybe this list has this number of elements? So how to? Oh, let me just do. You want to know the number of elements for a list. So to do that, we use the function length, that is short form of length. We want to know the length of the the um, list. So we can do first we can create a list. For example, like we created above there, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now before we do, we all you and I know that we have five elements. So if you run, you have five elements. That's amazing. Now what if the list is very long? So the most efficient way to do is, instead of providing the list like this in between, let's provide store it in a variable like this and provide a variable name. So if I provide, instead of writing the 1, 2, 3 in this, I just do numbers and I run and I get 5. Now let's check for these. If you check for these, we have 3, which is true. Monday to Wednesday is 3 days. And then let's look for mix, hopefully 4. That's it. So that is how we look for, or we check for the length. So if you have like a very long list, you don't need to be scrolling to every counting, yourself. You just do in programming, everything is short, sharp, sharp, then we go away. No one wants to suffer too much. It is not. Um, Let me keep it. Let me reserve my comments. So, guys, that is how we can access the elements, or the number of elements of. Um, we can know the number of elements of a list. Now, knowing that, let's now ask ourselves. Now we have Monday. So when we look at, for example, the days and list, for instance, we have 3 days. I don't want, whenever you print. So whenever you print days, for instance, you can see that we have all the 3 days coming. No, I don't want all the days, or like I don't want to show the entire list. I want a particular, you know, element of the list. Maybe I want the first element, I want the second element, or maybe I want the third, or probably the seventh, eighth, or something like that. How do we do that? Now, it is very simple. Like I told you, list has scale of preference. So the same thing in Python, list has, you know, order. So this is the first. It has position. Position. The elements have position. So this is the first position. These are the first position, the second position, third, and so on. So if you have 10 elements, the last one will be at the 10th position. The last but one will be the ninth. The first will be the first position, something like that. Now, you and I know that when someone is at the first position, he is associated with the number one, right? So one is for first. When we're in GHS, the Brilla people, you were always on your report card position 1ST. Then you'll be like, hey, you'll be very happy. And some of us too will be in the middle. You see it, the middle there. We are made for this. And some of you people were strikers, number nines. Some of you two were reserves. You don't even have GC numbers. More than 20, more to 20 inside here. You guys, you know yourselves. So, so Rashad is a victim. Elon was a very brilliant, student. She was always first. Bright Owusu, he copied and came to university. Bright copied and came to university. I know that. Zainab is very brilliant. I also copied and I came to university. So, guys, sorry, I have, I told you I have cold. So, kind of like slow. You see that? But we move. So let me take my water. Give me 30 seconds. Let me take water and go. Now, it's not a week. My book pipe agum. You see, I don't have money to buy a week. My book pipe agum is so sorry. Mwa muka say bright usu now whisker. It's pipe. I want to flex the girls. You see it. I want to flex my tea and Zainab and everyone in the room. Charlie, babe. Let's go back to work. Right. Hey, right. It's true. You can ask my tea, ask Elon. Charlie, yeah, bro. Let's go back to work. So now I will say now, if you are the first position, your number is one, your associated number is one, and it goes on like that. Now that's not the case in Python. Or let me even, okay, before I even do, I like to do this so that students would always remember. Now, to access an element, a particular element, that is, what I mean by to access a particular element of a list is that, we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. If you don't want all of them to display, but a particular, element. For example, the first element, you want to only display the first element or print out the first element. How we do that is just simple. First, you give, let me try, or let me, so you give the variable name, so, or the list where, the variable name, where the list is stored. So in this case, something like this list is stored in a variable called numbers. This is stored in a variable called days. This is stored in a variable called mix. So you provide that variable name. So let me maybe comment it so that we try it afterwards. So variable name, then you open and close, square brackets at the end. Then you provide the number. So if it is one, you provide one. If it is two, it is a second, like something like that. So let me just say position, right? Yeah. So let's look at an example. So let's look at. So we want to take the second element of uh, the numbers, the list called numbers. So I do numbers, and if I run numbers, you can see I have all of them. So I don't want that. Let's follow what I said. So after the name, we just do open and close parentheses, and then in it we have to specify the position or the position of the element you want to display. So I want to display the second one. Now I want to point to somebody who has not spoken today. Then you give me uh, the position. So right now, Elon, are you there? Unmute yourself. Quick, 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 quick. Easy. Elon. Yeah, so we want to display the second element. What is the position of the second element? Yeah, the numbers own. So I'm saying that the first element has a position of one, the second element. So what will be the second element's position? Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Let's go and then do. So two, thank you. We run. So you and I know the second element is two, right? The element is two. So we are expecting when we run, we get two. So I run, I get three. Boom. What's wrong? We can see that three is the third one, right? That's actually wrong because you specify two, and two is obviously this is the second. This is, and the second element is two. But we're getting three, which is the third element. Wow. And this is it. Very simple. Python is zero index. And I can say zero indexed. Indexed. You guys made a bravo. You didn't even I see it. It's a bravo. So Anamwa and Bright, calm down. I know English. I know book. You see it. It's sometimes. So Python, I say again, is what? Let me even bring it on top here. Comment it so that it is something we call zero indexed. What we mean by that is Python started counting from zero. So instead of the normal one saying we started from one, Python start from zero. So the first element is given a position of zero. The second one, one. So third one, two. You get it. You get what I'm trying to say. So it start counting from zero. So in this case, for example, the days like this, Monday is given a position of it is the first element and it's given a position of zero. And this is one, and this is two. So now if I want, knowing that if I want the second element, I don't do two, but rather I do what? One. And if I run, you can see I get my two, which is supposed to be so. Now if I want the first element, I just do zero, and I get my first element. If I want the last element, now we have last element will be indexed 4, right? Now what if I do 5? I forgot the 5. Boom, I get an error says that what? List index out of range. Why do you think that? So why do you think so? Why do you think that is happening? It is so because we are actually having an index, you know, and this is zero, this is one, this is two. So in the same case, oh, I'm canceling it. Three. So let me make it small. So when we come here, you see, one is actually zero, two is one, three is two, four is three, and five is four. So normally, to remember this, it is simple. Whenever you know the the length of the list, if it is say 10, the last element will be the length minus 1. So if you have 10 elements, then it will be 10 minus 1. The last element will have an index of 9 because it is starting from 0. And 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is a count of, 11, 10. Uh, sorry, it's a count of 10 elements. I don't know whether it is clear. I know my guys are good, so I don't need to really. So that is how we access, an element. So instead of 5, we do 4, and peacefully um, we get our this thing. So let's also try the days. I want to access the best day in the world, which is so I do days, which is Wednesday. So Wednesday, since it is the third, so it's going to be 3 minus all these two around, and I get Wednesday. That's the best day in the world. If you like it, like. If you don't like, I don't care. You see it. So that's it. My dear, I hope you are not hurt. Where were you born? It is Wednesday and my TSD. Those are the two best days. The rest, Monkoda. So that's it. And now I ask myself, what if I want to access not just one element, but maybe two or three, or maybe four, or the first five, the first 20, the first something like that. Now, how do we do that? It is very simple. We know how to access one element or a single element. Now, if you want to access, let me, I like commenting too much. So, let's see, access multiple elements in a list. So, to access that, it is simple. We follow the same listing. We do variable name, and then we open and close. We end with the square brackets. Now, instead of just one giving one position like say 4 or 2, if I want to show the first two elements, I know that the first element is actually, you know, index 0, and then the second element is index 1. So I cannot do 0 1. If that is what you are thinking, you are wrong. But rather, instead of 0 comma 1, we do 0 colon. So in Python, colon is for range. So if you see colon, it means that it is actually a range. So I want to display the first two elements. That is, the first element is indexed 0, and then the last element is indexed 1. So I'll do the variable name square, end with opening the square brackets, and then I start from 0 colon 1. So let's go try it. Let's try it. So I want to access so let me use the days. I want to access the first two. So I do 0 colon 1, and you can see, ooh, I get 0, sorry, I get one element, right? Why? Now, this is another thing. Python, this is the only thing that confuses beginners, other than that, Python is very good. Another thing is also that in Python, when we give range, for example, and I repeat, in Python, a range, and if you don't know range is just like an interval of numbers. So, for example, if I do 0:5 and I run, no, I get error. Let me probably do this range. I want to go 0 to 5. Okay, you let me not confuse you guys. Something just came to my head. Now, this is our Python. Oh, why is this thing stubborn? Okay, they've updated. Charlie. So the new Python doesn't support this. So I'm still a geek. I'm outdated. Okay. You will get to know. You will do more about that. But what I want to assure you also is that remember I told you Python starts to count from zero. So it's always the last element is always -1. The same way when you give range, the ending point is always -1. So if you give, for example, 0 to 1, it will pick, well, 0, the first element. Now when it goes to the, that between zero and 1, sorry, between 0 and 1 we have 0 1. That is, we're looking at the integers. So 0 1, something like this. Let me try, right. 0 1. So we have 0. 0 is not nice. Take it like 0 1. Now I'm saying that when we give a range in Python, Python actually subtracts 1 from the ending. So this is the range and this is the starting point. So when you have the colon like this, before the colon at the left side is the starting point. So when you specify, if you put 2 here, it is going to start on the third element and then it goes on like that. And this is the ending point of the range. That's the interval. Range is the same as the interval. So this is the end. I don't have my iPad here. So I cannot write, but I just manage. This is the end. This is B. Manage. Maybe next week I'll connect my iPad. I forgot. So I'll connect it and use it as a sketch pad for you guys. And then we have, this is the start. So, or let me even type. Why am I even? Okay. This will be better. So this is the start. So this is the starting of, or the start point of the start point of the, what do you call it? The range, and this is the end. Now, if you give any range, Python subtracts 1 from the end. So if you give 0 to 1, the range is just the number of values, or the number of integers, that is whole numbers between 0 and 1, is just 0 1. But now it would start from 0, all right, but subtract 1 from the ending point. So it's going to be 0 0, 0 to 0, and 0 to 0 we know we have only one um, element between 0 to 0, which is 0. That is why we have Monday. So for us to be able to achieve this, all we do is, for us to be able to achieve, or maybe, let me clean, guys, let me clean the thing small. Okay, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. So for us to be able to, we want to display the first two elements. That is Monday, Tuesday. But when we know that the first element is 0, index 0, the second one is 1. When we got 1 and we are saying that Python actually takes, it subtracts 1 from the, -1 from the ending part. So you can see that 1 minus 1 will be 0. So it's more like saying that it should be, yeah, someone has a question. Okay, Jacobi now. I don't know, I can't hear you clearly. Yeah, it's kind of this thing where I'll manage. Let's see. Let's hear you. Please, let me hear you. Please. Hello, Jacobino. Oh, okay. So when your line is through, then you can just speak our pause. So not to waste or let's say spend much time. I would still continue. When you are through, you can just when your network is through, just tell me what you want to tell. And yeah, I can hear you. Yes. Yes. Yeah, it's very clear. So you can go ahead, please. hmm You get which one do you get? What do you get? You did days, then square brackets 0:1, and you got all the days. Or probably is it? What else do you have in that particular cell? Probably you have on top there maybe print something there. Do it in a new cell and see. Run it in a new cell and see. Um, this one I mean. If I have something like this one, say I have a print statement here. Um, say I print and I have this one. If I run, you can see now I have Wednesday and I don't have this. Right. Yeah. So I may think I'm not seeing this. So check whether you have a print statement above there. Maybe you can comment it out or probably run it in a new cell like this. Maybe days 0 and you should have it. Okay, you're welcome. So guys, we sure that's nice. Thank you for raising that question. So let's move on. So I was just saying, now we gave 0 to 1 and we only had one. Is it? We only had the first one. And it is because Python subtracts. It doesn't add the ending part of it's always -1. That's the ending part of the range. So if you put 2 here, it is supposed to be 0, 1, 2, right? But it won't include the last element. So it will be 0, 1. So 0 to 1 is actually 0, 1. The integers between is 0 and 1. You know, 0, 1. That is, I mean, a list 0, 1, like this 0 and then 1. You get it, meaning the first element and the second element. But Python does not include the last one. So it is going to be only the first. So if we want to print the first two elements, then we should do 0 to 2, which means 0, 1, 2. So in that case, when we do that, we're going to get Python is going to get something like this 0, 1, 2. Now then it takes the 2 out. Remember, always it does not include the end. So we will have the 2. Now let's try and see if it works. And you can see, lovely, it is there. That's it. Very lovely. So that's how we do it. Do it. So um, yeah, we go again. Now let me just give some tips. I don't want us to keep so long. Is it always necessary if you're starting from you and I know that if we're starting from, let's say, if you want the first 10 elements, for example, you know that definitely we're going to start at the first and move, this way to the right hand side, of the list. What I mean is something like this. So we're going to move all the way. If it is this, we're starting from the first, so we're going kind of this way, right? So Python knows, and you and I know that he's starting from Monday, which is the first. So it will start from, so when you do 0 to 2, Python actually knows that you're saying that you should start from the first to where you provided. Now, is it always necessary you provide, the starting point when you have like, when you have a range and you starting actually from the start? Mind you, if you are not starting from there, if you are not starting the range from the first element of the list, always provide that position, that is that number. But if you are starting, like in this case, you see we want the first two, so we started from 0 to 2. We can also achieve that same thing by doing, you know, days and nothing, before the colon, and then specify where we want to end. And if you run, we get the same thing. What this means is that we're telling Python, start from wherever. We didn't provide any listing before the column. So start from wherever, the list starts from and bring us all the elements to up to the first, up to the specified or the ending part I've given you. That is up to the second element, something like that. The same way, if you are given a list, for example, I want to know, I want to get the from the second to the ending part of the numbers. Let me use numbers. So you can see we have, let me clean this thing. It's in a block people's view. But guys, is the illustration okay? I don't know if you don't like the illustrations, let me stop. Maybe a hammer. I feel more like it brings more understanding. So I was saying that we have a list of numbers that is to say from 1 to 5. So now I want to print from the third to the last element. I want to print all the elements from the third moving on to the last. So something like we can achieve that doing, so we know the numbers, and then if I do from the third element will have a position of 2, and then to the last element I know that it has a length of 5. So the last element um, will have a listing of position of 4, and if I do, I have a 3, 4. That's very true. So from the third to the last. Mhm. Sorry, the last one is always -1. So you have to add it so that you subtract 1 from it. So 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Now, is it always necessary if I am starting from 2 or a position and moving all the way to the last? It's always necessary you provide the ending part. You can leave it blank, or just out like that. And Python will know that you are saying that it should start from the third element, and then it should give you all the elements up to the last. Something like that. Very simple. So those are nice things you can do. And now let's come to today. I'm going to kill you guys. We have a lot to do. You can see. When we finish, we will really add um, a lot of things. But what do you think? I think we need to, because I don't want us to waste much time that much. You have up to, when we do our meetings tomorrow, you have up to Wednesday, or let's say the whole week to revise. So even if we do much, we can still revise, right? So let's do our best to finish most of them. And if you don't understand anything anytime, with Charlie, I don't understand this. then you see slide to my DM. You can resort to the resources we provide, complete through schools, YouTube, and all this stuff. That being said, let's jump back. I see your numbers are decreasing. Omu Charlie. People are doing run away. Good. Okay, Jacobina is back. So now let's look at how to add elements, to a list. Now we know how to access an element. Okay, let me even add how to add and change, or let me just how to alter. Can't like you know change or delete it. So, I'm coming. Okay, now I'm one. Okay, so a list is actually a 1D, just as you said, 1D matrix. So if you have five elements, it's like um, you can see it to be like a 1 by 5 or 1 by n. If it has n elements, it is 1 by n matrix. But it doesn't have those matrix properties, as in R and other programming languages. In if you want to make if you want to turn it to actually matrices or a matrix, and then we have a function called array. In Python, matrix is called array, and then if you use the array um, function to it, it will convert it to matrix, and that way it will give you the flexibility to do all the matrix operations and stuff. Is it cool? But it can be seen as a 1D matrix. You're welcome. So guys, let me continue. So now let's look at we've known how to access an element, a particular element from a list, or maybe a range of elements. Now, what if let me try create a list of names and call it names, and let me try add those who have nice names. Ladies first, my TA first, Untiasia, Edobe, um, let me look at some people with nice names. One would near them, Kawadi. Well, let me just, yeah, but I always like this, I would never add him. Would near always the library. So, let me add Zainab, let me add Anamwa. So, mm, let me add one guy. Um, Jonathan. Now I have a list called names, and then now I know how to access the first element. Or if I want to access the first element, which is my TA's name, or let me say the first name. If I want to know the first name, I just do names. I know by now we know it all by heart. So name 0, and I get Fadila. I do same for probably Zainab, which is 1, and I do the same for Namo, which is who has a position of 2. Now I just realized Namo, I didn't type Namo, I typed Nana Amu. It's a mistake. Now I want to change Namo, only Namo, the rest are okay. But you can see the Amu, I didn't bring A. So now, how do I need to delete everything and then type everything again, or do I need to come here and type? Somebody will say, "Ah, Charlie, say, Braga, Braga, Kashimi." Yeah, man. But the whole thing is you see it this way because it is just few lines of codes. If you were developing like a reward something, you may have maybe thousands of lines of code, or probably a long list, maybe of 100,000, students. For example, imagine seeing yourself at the maybe the UITS or the admissions department of any university in Ghana. How would you look through and know that Namwa has a position of this? So all you do is there is a technique, always efficient ways. You don't need to know the Namwa's position, but you can change or make corrections to the Namwa. So now let's look at that. Now I know that instead of Nanamwa, Mabon, so I typed Nanamu. Typos do happen. Somebody will say, okay, just bring A here. And true, if I run, I get Nanamwa. Well, once again, I said it is so because it is just a list of one, two, three, four people, and we have just two lines of codes. That is why you can do that. If you have 100,000 students with maybe 10,000 lines of codes, I don't think this will be efficient. So the most efficient way is actually leverage on the technique of accessing the elements first. So I can see that I access Manamwa. I know he is two, and now, knowing that I can use the equal sign and say that, equal sign, the one equal sign is actually, or the single equal sign stands for assignment. That is, you are assigning something to something. So I'm going to say that now, Nanamwa, we know is actually not that Nanamwa, but it is this, it is spelled this name, Nana Amwa, right? So now, what it means is that I am telling Python that you see in the names, you see the third element or the element with index 2 in the names variable, replace it with this name, Nanamu. Replace it with Nanamu instead of Nanamu. So if I run this, I don't see anything. Today somebody gave me a text that when he runs his code, he doesn't see anything. If you don't see anything, it means you didn't output anything and there is nothing wrong with it. So if I want to see, I can say maybe print. I'm going to print names. And if I run names, now you can see it's now Nanamwa and not Nanamu. So it has successfully been changed. Now Nanamwa, now he comes, Nanamwa is Kowolo, he doesn't come to class again. You're trying to do, or you're in the dear for the school. So we want to replace, we have a new student called Abubakar Siddiq, or let's say Rashad, Abubakar, Abubakar. So instead of Nanamu, we have Abubakar. Nanamu has graduated, he's gone. Abubakar is the next employee, or is the next worker we employ. So I want to replace Nanamua's name with Abubakar. So the same way, I just come. Instead of, let me do it here. Instead of, just like we did it the first way. So instead of typing Nanamu again, I just type Abubakar Siddiq. So something like this. So if I run, I don't see anything. Once again, it's because it didn't do anything. So if you want to run and see an output of a variable, when you write the code like this and you finish, you can just type the name of the variable down, in the next line, and you run. Now you can see. You can see that we no more have Nanamwa, but we have what Abubakar Siddiq in place of Nanamwa. Is it cool? So the same way we can actually alter, we can change an element of a list. And now, what about if we want to delete or if you want to add? Now let's look at how to add and delete. Maybe even this one will be necessary. So now we're looking at how to add it or some other listing, some other function. So if you want to add an element to a list, for example, if I print the names element, I only have Fadila, Zainab, Abubakar, Siddiq, and Jonathan. Now Bright is in the building. Bright has come, Elom is in. I have three new students. I need to add their name to the database. How do I do that? All I do is I use a method called append. Append. Those who know English know English. Append means to kind of add or maybe append a signature. Write your signature, add your signature to it. So the same way, more I want to go for more the bright and go. Listen to me. Append means, add something, signature. And Jacobina, she is very good. The girls, the ladies are always good when it comes to English. The guys, except me, you are all no good. So that's it. So we use the append method to, you know, add an element to the list. So if I want to add a new name to the list, all I do is I call the variable in which I store the list, or I store the names. So it is in the variable called names. So if I call the names, I do dot full stop dot append. Then I add, always remember methods end with parentheses. So now I want to add a new name. Whose name do I want to add? I want to add Elon, for example. Now I run. If I come here and type, if I type names, you can see Elon is being added to, she's the next person. So in that order, you can see she's next to Jonathan. Jonathan was the last person. Now Elon has come. She's the last to, Jonathan. So if I add another one, that person too will come and continue from Elon, something like that. Now, that is how we add. So let's add another one. Names of append. Sorry, today I don't feel good. Append, let's do bright. Anyway, let's add his name. So if I rerun this, you can see that I have bright added successfully. Now, what if I want to add more than one name? Like I didn't want to add bright, Elon first, bright first. I wanted to add all of them at once. So all I do is append, you know, and you need to spell append well. So instead of, let me see if it works. I don't know. It's been longer I did that. So let's try this. Hopefully, I know this is not going to work, but if it works, fine. If it doesn't work, it's an assignment to go and do. I will find out before it goes. A good friend, I've been forgetting the name, Jacobina. And let's see, we have Dawood. It's like there are people I don't even mention their names. Mildred, yes. Oh, and Sandra. Sandra is here. Is it? Yeah. Let me be mentioning these people their names. The guy is there. There. No lie. So Dawood, Raleigh, let's add Mildred, and let's add who was it? Sandra. Aaron, boom, error. It takes the list, the append, actually takes one argument that it was given for. So append can actually, take only one element at a time. Now let's see if we wrap this in a form of a list. We supply this in a list. We wrap them. We write the names in a list and we run. You get no error. We run and you can see it is like this. But you can see Jacobina, Dawood, and Co. They are actually in a list together. So it's like a list in a list. So your assignment, go and search for how you can add multiple names using the append, you know, method. Or if there is any method, you can do that. I don't need to be spoon feeding you all the time, right? So the assignment is, when I'm trying to add more than one name to the list using the append, you know, method. When I did the first time, I had an error, and I passed all these ones through a list. You know, you can see they are in a list, right? Within the append method. And when I did that, I had no error. But when I come to run this, you can see that this is it. This is the names I added. They are in a list, in that list. Unlike Fadila, who is standing on her own, Zainab, who is standing. And the thing is, now this is the problem. Python sees the whole of this as one element. So right now, you know that Fadila is one. How many elements? One, two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. But let's see. Let's look at the elements and see whether we actually have, you know, that number of. So if we do names, we have 12 elements, meaning that it sees the whole of this. Since it is in one list, it sees it to be what one item, like one name, which is not so. So, my question or my assignment is go and look at how we can add more than one name or element to a list at a point. Is it clear? Hello. I think. Okay, that's fine. I think all of you are. Okay. I'm glad you do. So now let's look at. If you look at the list, you can see we try to add this. This guy is actually this. We don't like this, and you can see Elon has. I don't know what Elon did to me. Elon has a name repeated 4 times. Um, let's try to take some of the names out. So Elon, we are going to take 3 of your names out. How do you remove an element or delete an element um, from a list? So we can use the. I think I didn't bring that one. We can use the remove. So what the remove does is that it removes a single element from a list or from the list. So now if I want to remove a particular this thing from the names, so for example, I do names dot just like I did append. So name dot remove, then you supply the name you want to remove. So I want to remove Ellen. Let's see. We didn't get any. Now when we come, you can see one of the elements is gone. I don't know whether you can see that. Now let me comment all of this so that we don't get any problems. But let me comment them right. So when we run this and we come here, we have now we have 1, 2, 3 elements. Now let's run again. Let's run this again. One, two elements. 1, 2. So if you keep running, it's going to remove all the elements from it. So let's try. We run another one. We come. We have only one element, which is this one. We run again, and we have. I hope we don't have element again. So the same thing. We can also remove bright from that. And if we want to remove that list, this list here, all we do is we say that instead of remove along, all we do is we say remove and we provide a list since it is seen as an element. So if we do this and we come here, you can see that one is gone. If I go and run again and come and run, it's gone. So right, it is your turn. I'm going to remove you. So I want to remove bright. And you can see something. It's like there, do you know? I don't know whether you've realized that the remove function actually start to remove from this section, like from the first to the last. It actually goes this way. So if you have multiple of them, and you do the first remove, it will pick the elements. If we have one at a position 1, and let's say the duplicate at position 2, it will first delete the one at the earlier position or the initial position before maybe when you run it again, it goes to the distance. So if you have two things and you want to you use the remove, it will remove the first and leave the last. That's what I mean. Something like that. So now let's look at now we don't want to the case where we don't want to actually delete just a single element. But rather we want to delete the entire elements as in we want to clear every element of the names. We want to clear all of you. We've sacked all of you. Go home. So we want to clear all your names off Monko. Like you see, go. So it's not like we want to take Fadila out. I can never take Fadila out. My TA. But we want to sack all of you so that it won't be like I'm bad to my TA. But it is Asem now, but you see it is I can't do anything about that. So to do that, to clear all the elements in a list, you use the clear method. So you just do the variable name. That is, I'm using names for all these illustrations. Doesn't mean it should be the variable should be names. Whatever the variable name is, if it is days dot, if it is numbers dot. But we are using names in this list. That is why I keep using names. Don't be confused. So when you specify the clear, and always remember, it is uh, it is what do you call it? If you leave the it is a method, so always end it with open and close parentheses. And if you leave the parentheses open like this, it will delete everything. So if you run this and you come here and you run, you can see it's just open and close parentheses. We don't have anything in it. Period. We don't have anything in it. So that is how you can delete, everything from. Let me try to run this to get it into memory. So now let me see this. Because I ran up there, it is back. Now, what if I don't want to? This one I didn't try though. I'm just going to try it out. If it doesn't work, another assignment. So I'm trying to specify a name and see whether it can take that name out for me. So that's how we do programming. Sometimes you'll be working and something comes, you try it, I'm fine, easy it. But if you keep it to yourself, you won't be a good programmer, right? So it's experimental. You experiment. And now I'm saying that I want to clear, but not all of them. I'm specifying Jonathan. So I want to clear Jonathan. I get error. And the error says that list of clear takes no argument. So meaning that you cannot specify any argument here. It is only meant to be clearing everything from the list. So just leave it always like this. I intentionally did that. I wanted to because I knew you ran into some of these. That is why sometimes I just do and then let you experiment yourself and sometimes do I experiment to you people to you so that it clears all your doubts. Sometimes if I do it in a form of mistake, it makes you remember whenever you're doing something like that. Now let's look at the last part one methods on list. Now that is the copy. Okay, someone's okay, bright. Yeah, no, okay. So when you go up like this, I define the list here, right? The list is here. This is where I define the list. Though right now, if I come here and run the list and check names, it is empty. But if I come top here and run this, it will read it back into memory. So if I come and rerun, I get my list back. But that will always not be the case. If you dealing like I said, this is a small distance. This is a small and this is tutorials. If you working in real world, building an application for someone or something like that, building a system to do something, you won't have this. So always you back up. Always when you're using something, you see, uh, they say this thing. There's this advert that says drink responsibly, right? And then drive responsibly, um, see bet responsibly. Udi agora akuma beti, something like that. So you always do a backup, and that leads us to the copy function, which is very good in this case. So now what the copy does is just like the name suggests, it copies the entire elements of the function. So just as you say, I want to delete my I want to clear all the elements, but I'm not sure. Maybe I may need it later. I may need it later. So to do that, I can actually copy, the list, copy the elements, the list, and keep it separately somewhere. So that in case, like, if in case it's tautology, so I if I realize there is something I need to do, or maybe I did a mistake, or maybe it was even an accident, I just clicked on a button and something happened like that. I can get my data back or something like that, my list back. So to copy a list, you just do the name, for example, names. So just like we doing of names dot copy, when you do copy, it copies. Now, when you do this and it copies, it's not storing it anywhere. So if you want to access it later, you can have it because you didn't define any variable that store copy names and store it in this particular variable so that if I want it, I go there. So let me comment this out. Otherwise, it will delete itself for us. So all I'll do is I want to copy the names variable or the list of names and save it in a listing called maybe backup. Let me call it back, backup. And then the backup is actually going to be a copy of the names, variable, whatever is stored in the names. That is the Jacobina, the names we created top here. So just like a photocopy, so it's to do a photocopy like a duplicate and keep it somewhere. So if I run this, boom. Now if I come to run names, I have this. Now let's see if I come here and let me see. So we stored it in backup. If I also call backup and run, you can see it's the same as names. So it's a copy of names. Is it cool? Very nice. So to copy the entire elements of a list, save it somewhere. Always remember to assign the copy to a variable, just as we've done here. If you don't do this, it will copy all right, but it won't save it anywhere. It won't keep it anywhere safe for you to reference in the future. Yeah, that's one thing you should know. Charlie, so hear me out. The earpiece is too much. Sorry. Uh, so the last one is the len function. So it determines the number of elements in the listing. So we can do len with the names. It tells us the number of elements. That is 10. We can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me run it again. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's it. So the len function does that. Now that is all on list. There's a lot more to know. There's a lot more interesting things to know. But these are the things, the basic and the most important things you should know about lists. And we can read more, or you can read more on the tutorial sheets I provided in the Google Classroom, or probably go to W3 schools and to read more, maybe YouTube or anywhere, or go to the book I dropped in a lot. So now let's move to tuples. Tuples, and we go to sets, and then that's all. So tuples are just simple. Tuples are just like lists almost like, in fact, it is the same as list, but with only two, distinctions, two differences. The first difference is that unlike list, where you see when you want to create a list in Python, you do or you create it with a square bracket. Tuples is actually created, or a tuple is actually created using the parentheses. So instead of square, you use parentheses. So just like everything on the listing holds. So this. So if I do, let's say, let me call this tuple, maybe two for short, and I want to see the data type. So if I do type two, you can see it's a tuple. So a tuple is just like a list. It's also a collection of items. It can be numbers, it can be words, it can be strings, it can be mixture of them. Just everything we did on Python, on a list, hold everything just like that. We have two clear differences, and the first one is what we've just seen. It is created using the parentheses, unlike the list which is created using the square brackets. And then the other most important thing is that tuple is very important. That the thing is, or the second this thing is, get it. It's very simple. You cannot change an element in a tuple. So the technical term we say the elements of a tuple are not iterable. Iterable, like iterating to something, is like to go through the thing and maybe manipulate. What I mean is, you remember in Python, in the list, we could do something like names, uh, sorry, two, or let's say is equal to Nanamo. Then it changes, and it changes the Nanamo to Nanamo. Remember that, and we could change Nanamo to Jonathan, or maybe it's Abubakar Siddiq. We can change a particular element to a different thing in list, but it never holds in tuple. Once you define a list like this, you can never change any element here. But you can delete, you can add, but you can never uh, change it. So let's try see. So let's try see. We say two. We want to know. So if you do this, you see it works alright, just like list. So it tells you the second list. So let's say we want to say tube is equal to rather 4. You see we get error. Tuple objects does not support item assignments, meaning that you cannot change the elements of a tuple. And why is it so? Somebody will ask. The importance of tuple is that tuple, or what makes tuple so important, is that sometimes in I know you are beginners, but when you start to advance and you're building a certain system, sometimes you want to create something that the user will not be able to change. For example, if you allow me to change my results, when my result comes, I will change my 20s to 90s, and I'll be the valedictorian. But it never works like that. I cannot do. So you can view, you cannot change. Something like that. So you can view everything, but you can never change the values there. That is how tuple is. So that is a realistic application of tuple. Tuple is always applicable when we have a data we don't want it to be changed. It is fixed. So we don't want the user or anyone or even any other programmer who maybe want to alter, or maybe hackers or whatever, to change that data. So that is it. So that is it on tuple. Now I forgot something I just want to chip in. Now if you have two lists. Like for example, let's say this is a list A, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have list B, which is, say, let me just give, or let me close it. You can see sometimes I give spaces. Sometimes if I don't, it doesn't matter. Now we have two lists. We can perform arithmetic. So I can do A plus B. Let's A plus B. Let's see. What did it do? So you can see that it actually adds this element, the B, to the A elements. So after you can see the first four are actually the A elements. One, two, three, four. So after one, two, three, four, you can see we have 3, 6, 4, 6. That is the element of B. So here, if you do addition, that is plus on lists or tuples, it is actually not going to add the elements, but rather it is going to, concatenate them. We call it concatenate, like kind of like two breads, put them together. It's going to take the element of the second one because he said this is read as this add B to A. So it's like this is A, the elements here. I am adding the elements of B to A, but it should go in this way, A before B. So that is why you can see elements like that. Now if you change it to B plus A, B plus A, now you can see that we first have the B values, then we continue or we add the A values to it afterwards, meaning that add the A values to B. So it won't give you um, operations like, or let's say answers like adding the elements. Now you can look at how to add the elements or something like that. Now let's look at A times B gives. We don't get that. Can multiply sequence of things, no names for that. So that's something. Uh, sorry, that's something I want you to know. You can play around that, and you know more. Yeah. So that's we've not closed. Those who think we've closed, we've not closed. Today we are closing probably 12 a.m. Yeah. So now, Jonathan will be today we are not sleeping. All of us are on heat. Program is go grab your coffee. Line we are about finishing. You can see we are almost now let's look at sets. A set is a collection of elements. Everybody here knows what a set is. That is the first thing I think you do in mathematics when you go to I think GHS 1 or something like that. Even side two. Yeah, I went to side two. I did it. So most of you went to the academy, the schools with the academy. We went to the schools with the MADC, Roman Catholic, the Methodist and go. The Christian, you see it. How much more you who school the something academy, something complex. I know you did lists. So a list is just a collection of items, just like list and tuples. But here for a list, we don't have any order. So there is no order. There is nothing like this is the first element, this is the second element. A footy fry, like they are mixed up. Sorry, TA, you see there. Do you understand tree? Can you speak tree? Okay, you have to learn. It just came to mind that maybe some of you may know. Apart from you, all of us, we are three. We know three. We are three people. But I hope it's not too much that you don't get what I'm doing. Right. Okay. Thank you. So a list is actually a collection of items, but there is no order. So now, me mostly we don't use lists like that, but sometimes it happens. Maybe you may be working on something and you need a list. Sorry, a set. So to create a set, Just like list, list is created using square brackets, tuples with parentheses, and then list is actually created using curly brackets. So sorry, sets. Why do I keep saying list? So you can see, just like all of them. So a list can be a collection. Boom. A set can be a collection of so something like this. So let me call it sets, or let me just call it A. And if I run and probably say I want to know the type of A, you see it's a set. So that's all you can add. You can add sets. You can all the other stuff. But wait, you cannot access the element of a set. For example, say A colon one. You see, get error. Set objects are not subscriptable. Yeah. So what it means is that they are not indexed. They don't have positions. So you cannot. It doesn't know anything about. Though this is the first one, but it doesn't matter. Any of them, they are anyhow arranged. They don't have any order. So unlike tuples and lists, you cannot access elements of a set, something like that. Now we will not talk much about sets. Let's look at how to add elements to a set. So we have a set A. So to add some elements to the set, we do the variable name that is a dot add, and we can specify. So one, we want to add 10. Now if we run, let's see, let's go A. You can see that we have 10 added to it. Now let's try to probably specify. You get error. You can do that. Let's put them in a list and see. You get error. So you can only add one thing. If you like, you can do more research about that. So it's only one thing at a time, right? So you can do more research about how to add more than one. Now, how do we remove? For a list, since it doesn't have index, the remove is how to delete an element is sometimes weird. So we can use the remove method. That will be a dot remove to remove, or we can use a discard a dot discard. See this is English. The ladies understand, and we have uh, pop a dot pop. So with the remove, you specify the element you want to remove. So if I do this, let me comment this. Let me comment. So this, if I remove it now, so I remove one. I run, you can see there is no one. Now that is how we use remove. Now let me discard. Let me use a discard. So I'm discarding two. Now if I run from here, you can see two is no more. Now if you use pop, pop is something. So if you use pop, for example, you can see it will take randomly pick one element. If I run again, it deletes another element. If I run again, you can see the set is empty. So it's kind of take random elements and delete them. But you can specify and also delete. That's one thing. Now to clear or remove all the elements, just like we saw in list and other stuff, you just do clear and it clears everything. To copy the same thing. Mind you, always when you want to do a copy, remember to save it in a variable. For example, maybe let's call this B. B is equal to, so we are making a copy of A, then we put it in B. Now there is one interesting method called difference. So what the difference does is that it returns a set containing the difference between two or more sets. So let me try. So let's say the set A is Apple, Samsung, and Techno. And mind you, no one should use Techno in this class. If you know you use Techno, I'd rather. No, 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 not Techno. This from Infinite, ITEL. The ITEL guys. You should join the class with the ITEL and become a bombers. You will not be spared. ITEL, the ITEL. It's, with all due respect. If you use ITEL, stop. It's not good. So now I was talking about difference. So I have two elements, two sets. So this Apple, this set A is a collection of phone brands, set B is a collection of fruits, banana and orange, citrus orange. Guys, I'm tired. I run and so if I do A dot difference, I hope I spelled it, B, and I run, I get Samsung Techno. Now, what is it? So A A difference B is saying that I want to see what is in, you know, A which is different from B. So you can see A has Apple and B has Apple. So they won't take that. The A has Samsung, B does not have Samsung. So it will pick that one. A has Techno, B does not have Techno. So A difference B is saying that I want I want the elements in A which are not in B. The same way if I do B dot A, then B difference A, and I'm saying that I want the elements in B which are not in A. So if I do that, you can see that we have banana and orange because we have apple here, but we don't have banana in B. Though we don't have banana in A. We have it in B, but we don't have it in A. Same as orange. So that is it, guys. I hope it is cool. Now, time is fast spent. The next time we meet, we are actually going to look at what we call dictionaries or a dictionary, and we are also ooh, we're also going to look at let me see control flows. That is the if statement. Then we look at then we look at um, so this is what we're going to look at tomorrow. Loops. These three things. So you go if you have time, probably you can browse through or something like that. Right. So guys, at this point I want to pause and take your questions and we call it today. I know you guys are tired. Sorry, I have to squeeze you sometimes. We ain't paying for you see it. You are old, you are big guys and ladies. So that's it for today, guys. Let me know your questions. The floor is open. Hey, you don't mind me? And I want. Okay, so pop is just like we pop champagne and it will do like pop. You see it, then the this thing will come. If it is a rich man, he will shake the champagne and the bubbles will come to allow the champagne flow. But if it's a poor one like me, we don't shake it because we don't want, we just want the put sound, and we don't want the champagne to go out. So just like that, um, the pop, what it does is that if you do, if for example A dot pop, it picks a random element and deletes it from the set. So it's like it is popping. You know, it pops. Whoever comes up, you go. Whoever comes up, you go. So it can maybe pick the first thing, the first element. If you do a pop again, it will pick the maybe the fourth element and then delete it. Sometimes too, it goes in order. Like the first one will go. But since sets are not in order, mostly it is random. You can pick any of the values. So what it does is that you see it will pop up. That value when you run it, that value will pop up. And then, for example, let me try and run this. Let me try run it again for you to see. So you see now, A is apple, banana. Now if I do A dot pop, you see it took Samsung. You get it? It took Samsung out. Samsung is the second. It passed by Apple, went to Samsung, so it has deleted Samsung. That is what it means. And now if I go down and do and look at A, you can see that there is no more Samsung. Now if I rerun this again, you see it took Techno. It went this way. So it's random. It doesn't have any listing. And if I come and run, it has taken Techno away. So it's left with Apple. So if I run it again, since you have only one element, it will pop Apple out and the set will be empty. So since Apple is the phone I use, as you can see Apple is out. And now we have empty sets. Now that is how it works. I don't know whether I've answered your question. You're welcome. Yeah, you raise your hand, they will call you then you speak. Yeah, Abubakar Siddiq. Yes, please. Yeah, I think I said this. When you scroll up to where you define the list and you rerun it, it will come into memory. Is it cool? No, no, no. If you are not cool, let me know. Don't say okay and go and then be struggling. No, no, no. Are you okay, my brother? If you need here, you see, black man is like that. Are you okay? Oh, your uncle, your in-law wants to give you money. You be like, oh, it's okay. You too, you want the money. You see that thing. So if you are not cool, let me just switch over. So for example, right now, if I do, you see, I popped all the champagne out of set A, and now set A is empty. Now this is why I defined A. If I rerun that cell and then come and run A, you can see I have my set back. That's what I mean. So now, sometimes Control Z can maybe bring things, but not all the time. You get it. When you run the thing, Control Z cannot bring it back. If let's say you were typing and you deleted something, then Control Z can maybe, if it is typing, maybe I was typing A dot pop and I deleted the pop and I don't want to type, I just want to bring it back. That one's fine. So guys, who is the next question? Okay. Next question. Paul, you are Oku. Sandra Aiku, Sandra Kuma. Thank you. I'm glad you're okay. Now I'm going to go by the list. I'll jump over my T's name and go to Jonathan. Jonathan, are you cool? Okay. Mildred, I think Mildred isn't around. So let's move on to. Okay, Nanamwa is cool. I know that. Rashad, are you cool? Okay, Rashad is cool. Um, Sandra is also cool. Let me scroll down to Elon. Are you cool? Okay. Elon, when you hear us, let us know whether you're cool. Um, Jacobina, are you cool? I hope I'm not off. T, are you cool? Okay. Okay, Jacobina says she's cool. I'm glad. So I know today has been a stressful day for all of us. Those doing the internship, you went to do your internship. You are serving the country. If you are serving the country to serve well, and if you are like me too, you are relaxed. Relax for the country. It is good. All of us are part. We contribute our good. I want to assure you that, if you keep fighting harder, everything will be fine. I always like telling people about maybe how I went by, small, small. Be curious. Be very, very curious. And don't wait for someone to, tell you, Charlie, do this before you do. And I believe if you do that, you'll be fine. Don't feel very lazy. They say to get something you never had, you do something you never did. So if you see someone in a car, the person didn't just get there. It wasn't easy. You can do that. We have 23 people, 22 years people, 21, 20 years, 18. And then the old ones like me, the 40s and the 50s. I am 53 years right now and I don't have a car. I don't have a house. I don't have a wife. I don't have a job. I don't have anything. It's fine. It's part of life. I don't want people to be like that. That is why you are learning programming. Now, if you go and check US portal right now, we have about 60,000, AI jobs, data science jobs. They don't have people to fill that gap. That is why US is, you know, employing a lot of people, like giving people 200,000 US dollars, people getting remote jobs and all those stuff. And I am a victim of that. I'm a living testimony. I have a remote job. It pays me very, very well, more than a master's degree holder in Ghana. And hey, I thought my tea is not here. Uh, sorry, sorry. Look, okay, it's fine. And it's just a motivation. And you know, it's flexible. Just that I sit for long. I do my whatever I'm supposed to do, write my codes and send it to my boss for review. And that's all. I take my money. If there is no job, the month ends. I'll still take my money. I'll be in my room, enjoying my life. That's all. And it's helping me a lot. I'm also writing a lot of research papers and stuff. So Charlie, it will be fine. We are always around. If you have any this thing, just slide in my DM. Oh Charlie, I want to do this. We find our way through. You get it. That's how it is. I want you to be motivated enough to take this serious and uh, something good comes out of it. And mind you, this Wednesday we're meeting, we're going to talk about LinkedIn, how to leverage LinkedIn to become very powerful and get some jobs and like the public attention, yes, in whatever you do. So If you have any question, just ask 1 minute, then I just end it and you go. So this is why you are not asking questions like this. I hope you understand me. Okay, that's fine. I'm glad you understand. Maybe I'm a good teacher, or maybe you people don't want to tell me the truth. Well, we will know. And mind you, we'll be doing assignments. Week 3, I'll give you assignments, and I'll publish the results in the WhatsApp group. If you score zero, zero. If you score one, one. If you score all, all. So take it serious. So, alright, guys, that's all for today. Thanks for joining, and I will see you tomorrow same time. Have a good evening, and if there is anything, my DM is open. I don't sleep mostly, and if it's very confidential, you want to call, you can call. If you want to give SMS, normally WhatsApp. If I am busy, I don't reply to WhatsApp messages, but if it is SMS or maybe a voice call, I just pick up. 3 minutes, I'm done. Go. So you can do that. Thank you for joining. See you tomorrow. Bye.